Pitch Palooza expands its reach. I'm Lisa Aligas, and this is Newsmakers. In the world of entrepreneurship, most people have seen an episode of Shark Tank or The Profit. At Missouri Southern State University, the chance to garner attention for a product or service comes at Pitch Palooza, sponsored by the Center for Entrepreneurship and the Small Business Development Center, or SBDC. Pitch Palooza is expanding this year to include high school students. Joining us to discuss the event and how high school students can get involved is Dan Cravens, Assistant Professor of Entrepreneurship with the Plaster School of Business. Welcome, Dan.
Well, Lisa, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so before we get into the expansion, let's explain for those who have not heard of it, what actually happens at Pitch Palooza and who's participated in the past.
Sure. Well, we started out a couple years ago with this, and it was a lot of fun and very excitement. And I should mention some of our partners. The Joplin Chamber of Commerce has been very involved. Crowder College has been involved, and a great partner, Carthage Chamber, has been involved in this as well from the beginning. And so we've worked with our partners to put on a contest where somebody has a great business idea, and they share it with their friends. They get all excited. This provides folks with a forum where they can get some feedback about that business idea. And then that comes from judges. And then they can win a little bit of prize money too, a little bit of recognition in the community. But the feedback you get from the contest is almost as important because somebody else that's a trained expert, like our judges are in the business community, because we draw them from the local business community, can maybe see some areas that are opportunities for improvement or different directions you go with your business or additional revenue streams. So it's a fun thing. It's a fun day. We enjoy it. We enjoy putting it together, and the folks that come away from it really have a good time.
I mean, you're probably going to make a pitch more than once in your lifetime.
Absolutely.
But who's participated? Is it for college students, community?
Sure. So what we did is our first year, we had two tracks. We had a community track, which had entrepreneurs that were just in the startup phase, they were brand new, and then we had a scalability phase, which are folks that are already in business, but they're looking to grow, and they're looking to kind of take that next step with their business. And then we had a collegiate track, which we still have a collegiate track, and that would be college students, not just from Missouri Southern here, but from Crowder. We had several come from community colleges in the area, and it's open to anybody, Pitt State, whoever. These are college students that would come and share their idea as well.
And it's a good chance to practice knowing about your business. So how would you define entrepreneurship? I mean, if people like, am I an entrepreneur? Does it always have to be something new, or can it be sort of reinventing something to make it a better?
Well, let me just add, we're adding a high school track as well, too, and which is very good. But an entrepreneur is somebody that takes a technology, usually, or they take an idea, and they turn that into reality by starting a business. And a lot of times, Lisa, with an entrepreneur, it's not about the money. It's about being creative, or it's about trying to change the world or change society or make things better. And so it's somebody that's a highly creative person, highly energetic. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you got to put in 60, 70, 80-hour weeks to start a business and be successful. So it's not for the faint of heart. And it's somebody willing to take risks, that believes in themselves, have a high degree of self-confidence, and usually has some skills and knowledge that are fairly specialized or unique related to the business or industry they choose to start.
Okay. So tell us about some of last year's pitches from the event. What kinds of products or services are college students in the community pitching? What are the ideas that are floating around?
They are all over the place, and I mean that in the best of ways. We had one that was national security related. Now, I'm not a software person, so I couldn't understand it, but it was a very complex, obviously a very intelligent individual. I wish I could say it was a Missouri Southern student, but it wasn't. It was from one of the other institutions, but it was very brilliant, wonderful idea related to national security and homeland security. And then we had somebody that had basically a fertilizer that they had developed for gardening. And, we have just a wide range of folks. So anything that's, it could be somebody that wants to start a restaurant. It could be somebody that, has developed a new, type of software or something like that. It could be a wide range of gamuts. So you don't need to be in one area. It doesn't need to be high tech, but if it is high tech, great too. And
the world of inventions. I mean, there was the movie Joy, which was about a mop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you're making things easier for people, that might be a good product.
Absolutely, and it's really very open field.
So what can be the benefit of participating in this? They can win prizes. Tell us about those prizes, and it is also a learning experience.
Sure. Well, we're still going to work. We're working on the prize amounts. So we gave out several $1,000s in prize money last year, and that's courtesy of our generous sponsors. And we're in the process of recruiting more sponsors, and hopefully we'll grow the amount of prize money that we're offering. And that's in our collegiate track. We're offering prize money, and in our community track for startup and scalability as well too. But I think some of the biggest benefits is to have that feedback, to have that chance to prepare a presentation, to think about your business, and then get feedback from a group of judges that are looking at this. And their reaction is going to give you some real-time idea how like an investor potentially would look at your business, or somebody you're trying to recruit maybe as a partner would look at your business. And, it's a very friendly, it's not a threatening or a hostile way. Shark Tank get a little grouchy. Our judges are not grouchy. They're there to help, and it's just a fun experience. It's an exchange of ideas, and one of the side benefits is our entrepreneurs that participate in this, they get to meet other entrepreneurs, and sometimes that leads to additional creativity, and those folks working together on a business idea or teaming up. So it's really a great opportunity for networking as well.
Yes. Okay, so you decided to expand this event to include high school students. Why, and how will it benefit them to participate?
Well, one of the things that, I'm a professor of entrepreneurship, so I have a bias here. But thinking about a business idea, having to put together a presentation, having to, kind of write up a business plan of sorts, although ours is not intensive, our contest isn't on writing. But having to do that are wonderful critical thinking skills, wonderful presentation skills, and a wonderful opportunity for young people to build self-confidence and that ability to communicate, to express an idea and share it. It's a lot like speech and debate, for example, in that regard. So we see it as an educational asset, but also, too, by encouraging entrepreneurship, we might 5-10 years down the line with some of these high school students be really encouraging a future job creator in our community. And so we see an economic benefit as well as an educational benefit as well with this.
And young people can have big ideas.
Young people have great ideas, and there are young people who have started businesses while they were in high school, and in fact I think you're going to be interviewing one here shortly.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're successful, and a lot of times for a young person, starting a business is their way of being creative, just like an artist or to a degree an athlete. It's their way to express themselves, and it's a way for them to achieve.
But there are times when people have a business, and if they don't have the business skills, it may not succeed. So let's talk about the business aspects of the pitch. What are the details about a product or service that need to be shared to convince those investors?
So it's very interesting with pitching. One of the key talents you want to have is, especially if it's something that's a very technical idea, it's a very industry-specific idea, is you need to explain it in layperson terms. So, for example, with like a presentation on like a software or technology product, that could get real technical real quick, and you're going to lose 99% of your audience quickly because they're not going to understand. So you want to make it understandable. But what's very important is, and our judges look at this from an investor point of view, does this idea have the ability to make money? How is it going to make money? Do you remember the movie Jerry Maguire?
Yeah.
Back in the 90s.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. And that's kind of what you want to think about fairly early on in the pitch. How is this going to make money? How is this idea unique? How is it different from what's out there? How is this going to be a bigger, better, superior, quicker, faster, higher quality product or service than what's already out there?
Do you have to show that it can work, and do you have to document that there's a definite need for this?
For the contest, no, not so much. But I think what you want to have is a good argument that an experienced, seasoned business person, when they hear that, would say, "Aha, that makes sense. This is something that could work. This is something I could see a need for in the community." Now, a lot of good folks that pitch try to put their pitch into a context where people can identify with it. They'll ask, have you ever had a situation where you've had this problem, or you had this need or this situation? And if it's something a lot of people can identify with quickly, then you jump in and say, this is how my product or service with my new business will solve this.
Are there ways for an individual to show or document that it has a likelihood of success? Any kind of statistics that they would want to throw in there?
if it's like a small business that's been successful in other areas or similar communities, you could provide that as evidence, certainly. We try not to make this financially intensive. I mean, we really are not looking for, like, pages and pages of spreadsheets or things like that. But if you've got a good example of where this business has worked somewhere else and why it would fit into, I'm assuming the Joplin area or the four states area, absolutely, that would be good to share.
Part of the pitch is asking for money, right? So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you have to know the whole idea of what percentage for investors and things like that when you ask?
So with the high school pitch, we have an informative pitch, and there's not really a financial ask with that. But in the persuasive pitch, there is, and you want to have a ballpark idea of how much you would need for your business, what you would use it for, why that's important, and then talk about like return. When do you anticipate the investor would get their return? And I think beyond that, you're really not going to have time because it's a short.
Yeah.
It's really a short window for the presentations.
All right. So, and then finally, how important is knowing how you're going to market it? Is that part of the presentation?
I think that's great to have that information because, marketing can be very expensive. And there's different types of advertising depending on your product and who your demographic and who you're going after. It's going to be more effective than others. So if somebody's got some creative, low-cost ideas on how to market their product, their service for their new business, yes, please share those because that will show that you've done your homework and you're really thinking about your idea and how to move forward constructively.
Right. Great information. When we come back, we will hear about techniques for making a successful pitch and how important delivering that message is to getting investors. Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we are learning all about Pitch Palooza and opening it up to area high school students. Joining our conversation is Carrie Carroll, the Fine Arts Division Chair from Crowder College, and returning with us is Dan Cravens with the MSSU Plaster School of Business. Carrie, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Entrepreneurship is certainly about taking idea, people, and Pitch Palooza requires them to sell that idea. So how much of that includes selling investors on themselves? Like, how important is their introduction and how they present?
Well, I would say that how they start the pitch is the most important part of the pitch, because if you hit them straight out of the gate with something interesting, relatable, an astounding fact or statistic that goes along with you, and you're confident in that presentation, it is going to start you off solid and you have nowhere to go but up from there. So it is important that your introduction be solid.
You only have one chance to make that first impression.
That's right.
Yes.
So delivery is really important. What are some key qualities the judges will need to see? Is it confidence? Is it calm? Is it...
It's a lovely mesh of everything, really. It's important that you are organized in the material that you're presenting to them. Quickly and confidently, you need to explain what your thing is that you're explaining, what solution it will bring to the industry that doesn't exist now, and it will also, you need to explain to them what sort of investment you're looking from them quickly. They don't have, time is of the essence. So they're not going to want to waste a lot of time with you yamming on about how you discovered this, and not a large in-depth, just succinct and clear.
All right.
Something from last year we noticed was occasionally the presenter, especially the younger folks in the collegiate track, did not explain fairly quickly on what their business idea was. So I would really encourage that as well, because sometimes you'd be a minute in the presentation, you still didn't know what their business idea was, and that's kind of a little bit of a bad situation to be in with regards to the judges.
So is it important to supply some facts and data? Are there strategies for doing that without getting too technical or too memorized? You know?
In any speech or presentation where you're ultimately attempting to persuade, you spend a good deal of time educating before you have the ask or before you go into the persuasive part. And so you do need to have your facts. They need to be from good sources. They need to be identifiable sources to the people that you're presenting to. So you need to know who your audience is, and you craft that message specifically for that group. So the way that you might do a pitch at Palooza, you know that you have 3 or 5 or 7 judges who are from the business world. Well, they can relate to the subjects that you are using. So you might want to use a Wall Street Journal, for instance, as a good source because they understand that that is a very reputable source. So that's important.
That makes sense.
I think it's a broad, what you're really trying to do is a very broad, 20,000 foot view of your business. And in the business world, if you're presenting, you want to give them enough information that they get interested and they want to ask more questions in the future, because you're not going to make the sale in 10 minutes, but you're going to get them interested in 10 minutes. That's the goal.
And Lisa, you ask about rehearsed. Does it sound too rehearsed? You do need to practice, and you need to practice a lot. But you can't lose the intentionality of a casual conversational delivery. Extemporaneous means that it's heightened conversation. And so you may cover the same things in the same order, but every single time you deliver it, it'll be slightly different based on who's in your audience and how they're responding to you. Do you need to speed up? Do you need to slow down? But the most important thing is, are you being authentic? Are you truly passionate and excited about what you're delivering at this moment?
Well, that was part of the next question. What constitutes do you lose any sincerity if you're overly memorized? I mean, some people worry about being memorized, and you could see the wheels turning behind their head. And it's like, I've got a script, I've memorized. Is it more important to know everything about your product? Know it so that you can show your passion for it, and if they ask you a question, you can answer it.
Yes, you can get too rehearsed and and memorization is not good for the pitch type of environment. It sounds flat and monotone. And I give the illustration of I could go to Kansas City 25 times in a year, right? But I may decide to stop at a different place every time along the way to get a drink, to use the restroom, whatever is appropriate. So I'm not doing exactly the same type of trip every single time with everything being identical. And so I have practiced my trip to Kansas City, but it's not going to be verbatim exactly the same every single time. And because of that, then I have new experiences along the way. So that's the analogy that I have for that, is that you do want to practice, and you want to practice in front of different people. ChatGPT can be a wonderful thing, and I just learned recently, it can be the devil too, but I just learned recently that some of my students are using ChatGPT to present their speech to address the tonality of what they sound like, their word choices, and to give them recommendations for improving their delivery. So I love that, because you've got another set of eyes, if you will, presenting some ideas. Now, you have to be careful in what you use. And
Sure. Are the students talking the whole time, or should they expect it to be dynamic?
The questions usually come at the end of the presentation, and kind of piggybacking off what Carrie was saying, is you want to identify key high points. I like your analogy of taking a trip. You want to go to the art museum, you want to eat at this restaurant, and you know what you consider the best of the Kansas City area. You want to make sure you hit upon all those. So there's going to be certain key selling points, like the differentiation of your business. How is it unique and special? What your value proposition is. What are you adding that's a value to the individual, that's a potential customer. You want to hit upon those, and you definitely want to hit upon how are you going to return investment for investors, because that's what investors are looking at. The questions will typically come towards the end, where the judges will say, I found this really interesting. I have this question about this. And then that's where your preparation also comes in, because you've done your homework, and you say, well, yes, this is my answer to that. This is how we plan to address this. This is where we see ourselves in 3 years.
And it is a flat delivery presentation, and then there's a break and people applaud, and then there's questions, and that's just a natural thing that occurred. We didn't really design that. It just happened.
Yeah.
And if they have samples or
A demonstration.
Yeah, demonstrations. They will, if they didn't incorporate it at that point, they will share with people. There was a lady this last year that had scents. She had smells.
Yeah.
And she handed them out like a sample pack to all of the judges, and they were opening it and smelling it. And I mean,
Is it good to do that as you start, or is it better to wait to give?
Well,
so
I
they
would
can-
say that you would wait, because you're going to lose their attention, because our brains start going, well, what's in this little bag? And is it good? I don't like that one. Oh, no. You know, whatever. You have to keep their attention focused where
On the
you want it
message.
to be. Yes.
All right. So very briefly, difference between a bad pitch and a good pitch.
A bad pitch would sound too rehearsed, and it wouldn't have any meat to it. It would all be it would be vague. There wouldn't be specifics. There probably wouldn't be any statistics to go along with it. If you have an existing business plan, like how many customers do you have? What's your revenue right now? And if it's just an idea, what are you basing your perspectives on? Like who is your customer and how do you know that? And a good pitch will answer all the questions succinctly, sharply, and with a great deal of confidence.
Passion. All right. When is Pitch Palooza, and when can they get started on preparing?
So we are doing this on the 16th and 17th of April.
Yes.
And we're doing this here at Missouri Southern, here at the Plaster School of Business. And our registration, I believe, is open now.
Yes.
I believe it is. So people
But
can start-
it's time to prepare for those students.
It's time.
Oh, it is
It's time.
time.
Know what to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, one of the reasons, we're doing these interviews is just kind of help with that preparation process, because it's not intuitive for folks to know how to do a presentation.
Sure.
And we're certainly a resource, whether you're at Crowder or you're at Southern here to help with students.
And Lisa, we're excited because last year there was such a strong response, and we just quickly realized we're going to have to make this a 2-day event.
Yeah.
And I can see where it's going to grow and grow and grow, because people are hungry for experiential learning, and that's what we're doing right now with this. And the businesses in this region are willing to partner with us to have that happen, because they understand the importance of it.
And something else too, you do not have to be a contestant to attend.
That is
We
correct.
had a
You can
lot
watch
of
the
folks in the
pitches.
community,
Yes.
and sometimes an investor or potential investor, somebody that's looking to add a little seed capital to a business, might come to this and might observe what pitches are there and see if there's a good idea they'd like to invest in. So, that's just an extra little plug we'll put in
right.
for this as well.
I will say that Pitch Palooza last year, many of the people who presented, whether they won or they didn't win, have earned a great deal of business from that exposure and
great.
good relationships.
All right, great information. Thank you both. We're going to take another break, and we're going to hear from students who gave Pitch Palooza a shot as we go to break. The must-do list of what to include in your entrepreneurial pitch. You're watching Newsmakers, and today we have been learning about Pitch Palooza, the event where students and community members can pitch a product or service to judges for prize money and guidance. Joining our conversation are past participants, Tensley West from Crowder College and Neosho High School, and Calvin Clark, a senior at MSSU. Welcome, Tensley and Calvin. Thanks for coming to Newsmakers.
Of course, thank you for having us.
So, Tensley, we're going to start with you. Tell us about your pitch. Was it a product or service? I mean, you're a high school student who also does dual credit at Crowder, so what was it like to do that? Tell us about your product or service.
Yes, it was very exciting. So the company we chose was called You Go Girl, and it was essentially a service. We offered a service to provide safe travel for women, but we also, throughout our pitch, we also offered products to sell to ensure that their safety was provided.
Give me an idea of some of those products.
Yeah, so safety tools, like maybe it's an alarm that you put on your keys, so if you're in an uncomfortable area, you're able to click that and a sound is made so people are to turn and see what's happening.
Okay, great idea. So Calvin, tell us about yours. What was yours, a product or service?
Yeah, so I pitched my service, Calvin's Tutoring Services. I made like a PowerPoint presentation kind of just showing like the in-person testimonials that I did, showing the work that I did over the years. And I also had a parent come and give an in-person testimonial as well, which was pretty cool.
Wow. So how long have you had this? I mean, this is then already
Yeah.
a business.
Yeah, I started as a senior in high school. Definitely wish Pitch Palooza was around then. But yeah, started as a senior in high school, and I've just been building it ever since.
Wow. So you guys tell me, did your ideas generate interest? What kind of feedback did you get?
Yeah, so we definitely did have some feedback after our presentation. We kind of just did it to get some experience and really work on networking, and we had lots of people come up to us and compliment the idea and give us critique and feedback, so where if we were to make this our business, we would have some guidance and some mentorship with it.
Yeah. Calvin, tell us about your experience.
I would totally agree. I would say like the judges, they gave me like a lot of things that I could implement to maybe expand the organization into not just one person, multiple tutors. So, that was definitely good. And, they also told me the stuff I did well, such as my website and, my social media marketing as well.
Okay. So let's talk about what that physical experience was like to present to judges, to be in front of them and sort of have to be the person giving the idea. Did you feel like you were prepared?
Yeah, I was confident in the pitch I had presented and the information I had, but there's always still some nerves involved when it comes to really presenting and sharing what you've worked so hard on.
So what do you think you could have done better? What was the experience like? I mean, did you freeze up at all, or did you feel like you'd practiced?
We definitely put lots of practice into it. I felt like the presentation went well. If I was to add more, it would definitely be more features or really expanding upon all of the things and the elements we included.
Did you demonstrate your products, any of them that you mentioned?
We did not demonstrate them. We kind of just explained the process and what that would look like for somebody who is trying to obtain our service.
Calvin, what was the experience like for you? Were you nervous?
I'm gonna be totally honest, a little bit of butterflies, just a little bit. But I really just wanted to make MSSU look good, and I wanted to make the SBDC and the business department look good. So I really just wanted to, do good for them.
So tell me what you guys did to prepare. Like, how did you practice? Did you have different audiences? What was it like when you worked on your pitch?
Yeah, so it started kind of with some brainstorming. We kind of searched for a need, and then once we found a need, we were looking for ways we could fill that. It was just piggybacking off one another and then presenting in front of a few audiences. We had a mentor that helped us a lot, yeah.
And Calvin, yours is a real business. So
Yeah.
what was it like to, you already have done it.
Yeah.
So why did you choose to bring a parent in, and how did that maybe help?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say great things about my service and about my business, but, hearing it from someone else can, kind of just give a little bit more significance and impact. But I would definitely say the day before, I was definitely pestering Dr. Cravens about giving me advice and tips. So he was definitely essential in helping me create my whole presentation.
All right, quickly, what advice would you have for a high school student who would want to present?
Yeah, so I would say definitely give it your all. And this is something that I would suggest everybody tries, even if you don't necessarily have a pitch that you want to pursue fully. It is a great networking opportunity. I really met lots of people that just helped me with the idea I had, and it helps with my public speaking skills. It was really, I think, crucial.
Calvin?
I would probably say it's only a dream until you put in work to achieve it. So, like, if you're really passionate about it, Pitch Palooza is definitely the place to come to network and, see what you can improve on.
All right, well, good luck to both of you in your future endeavors. Thank you for sharing all
Thank
this
you.
information.
Thank you.
Of course.
And that wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Thanks to our guest, and thank you for watching.